The next scene from the movie Flash of Genius, starring Greg Kinnear as Dr. Robert Kearns, inventor of a delayed windshield wiper circuit, is an outstanding scene and also really touches home to me, touches to my heart. I've been running a law firm for a while. I've been in law practice for 23 years. And one of the things I want to say is that occasionally my law firm and myself, I have to fire clients. I have to tell them, I just can't stand working with you. We need to go our separate ways. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Here's a list of other attorneys you can work with, but I'm not going to represent you any further, and here's why. I give them reasons. I give them other attorneys they can work with. I hand all their papers back to them. I refund whatever money that I had in the trust account, if I had any. And it's unpleasant. It's difficult. And the scene you're about to see, I was very sympathetic. I was actually, to some extent, sympathetic with both sides, although much more so the attorney's side, but to some extent Dr. Kearns' side also. He doesn't want a settlement. He wants to go full out, balls to the wall, full litigation. Well, for you folks that want to litigate against a larger entity, you're going to have difficulty funding it. And now it's more possible to find law firms such as Morgan & Morgan who will take patent litigation cases on contingency if they see a very good chance of winning, such as in this case. That type of thing didn't exist at the time in 1964, or whenever this actually took place, the scene you're about to see. It was in the mid-60s when Dr. Kearns meets with his attorney and counsel, and they have this unpleasant disagreement. So I'm going to say that every single actor in the following scene, Greg Kinnear, Alan Alda, the lady playing Greg Kinnear's wife, I'm not sure, but I think she was in Gilmore Girls, I forgot her name, and the attorney that works with Alan Alda, all of them are effective. Also, the lines and the representations and the conflict in this scene are very realistic. These type of conversations do happen, and I have been in on them. I've seen clients make bad decisions or decisions that I find structurally unsupportable, and that I've decided I cannot represent you under these circumstances. I'll do everything I can to help you. I'll return your papers to you. I'll return what I can, and I hope things go well. But I can tell I'm not the right guy for you, and you're not the right client for me. And I have done it, and I've done it somewhat like what happens in this scene. So I'm touched by this scene. And I also, again, want to praise the acting performance and the level of the script and the skill by which this film that did very poorly at the box office actually shows pretty high quality and pretty high level of acting. The problem is it's in an esoteric, very obscure area that almost nobody would care about, and that is patent law, patent litigation, and patent infringement, and the difference between willful infringement and unintentional infringement. It's hard to find anybody who cares about that. I do. I watch this film a lot. I know it really well. But most people don't, and the film did really poorly at the box office. But I don't care. The scene is good. It's well done. You'll get an understanding of both sides, and you'll get an understanding of what it's like to practice in my specific practice area. Patents, patent litigation, patent prosecution, patent management, patent licensing. And you'll also choose for yourself whether you feel Dr. Kearns always made the best decisions or not. That's up to you. I hope you enjoy this scene. It certainly is something I can relate to.
The following scene is a good scene, and I'm sympathetic to both sides, the Alan Alda side and the Robert Kearns side. I've had unpleasant conversations like this with clients in the past, and I'll probably continue to have them, but they're never easy, they're never enjoyable, and no matter how many times I go through it, I don't care for it. But both sides make several legitimate points here. But for my inventors, for my clients, for you entrepreneurs and inventors out there watching this YouTube channel, let me just overlay this one most important point. Dr. Kearns wanted an admission from the Ford Motor Company that they deliberately and willfully infringed him. He was never going to get that. He was never going to be successful at getting that. and neither are you. Don't shoot for that. Don't aspire for that. The whole reason that Dr. Kearns had so many problems in his life is because he insisted on achieving this impossible standard. And it cost him pretty much everything. He never got to enjoy the money. He died soon after. He did win a settlement later, after he had bankrupted his family, alienated his wife, and lost everything. As a patent attorney myself, as an entrepreneur myself, a businessman and an inventor, I can honestly say, on summation, but overall, I would have to say Dr. Kearns' strategy didn't work and wasn't worth it. Yes, he left his kids an excellent legacy and a lot of money, and the Kearns Corporation still exists. But I'm going to have to insist, and this movie does nothing to take this away from me. I'm going to have to insist that in the end it wasn't worth it, and he didn't make good decisions. And the misery and the problems he have are somewhat self-inflicted, as we're going to see in the following scene.
That Ford has offered to settle for $250,000.
$250,000. Oh my gosh.
Settle. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? Because I thought we weren't going to pursue that.
No, that was our agreement. And we didn't do anything to seek this settlement. This is Ford's offer.
Okay, but in this offer, do they admit it was my invention? They lied about it.
Dr. Kearns never should have held out for a admission of willful infringement. Totally unrealistic, totally unnecessary, totally unhelpful. Never should have insisted on that.
In a settlement like this, it's customary that both sides are enjoined from commenting.
You only had to be around Dr. Kearns for about 5 minutes to figure out that he was not the world's greatest listener. And this certainly was an example of it. He misunderstood how it is the attorneys get compensated, and he impugns the attorneys' motivations.
It's doubtful that you would do any better than you would right now with this settlement.
And whatever happened?
To be fair to Dr. Kern, he didn't want recognition himself. He wanted the Ford Motor Company recognized as having cheated him. And it's at least possible they did. Although, in the end, I think more that they just didn't want to work with him because he's so difficult. And they went ahead and found their own way to achieve the results that he obtained. Either way, it looks bad for Ford, and they ended up paying a lot of money. But the Alan Alda character does make a little bit of a mistake here. Dr. Kearns is not seeking recognition for himself. He wants it known that the Ford Motor Company cheated him, and he wants an admission. But good client counseling, good strategy would have been that you can't aspire for that. We'll never be successful in getting that. And if that is the only goal that you'll accept, I would have refused to represent him. And I know one of the attorneys that he did work with for a while, and they did refuse to represent him. He bankrupted his family, alienated his wife, so she took off. She split. They got divorced. Dr. Kearns did. And in the end, what for? Looking back, looking over the Kearns strategy over the years, I'd have to say that he got it wrong. Yes, at the end, you're going to see in this film, I'm going to spoil it for you, he's going to get a nice judgment and a nice payoff. But it's not until about 13 years after what you're seeing here. And during that time, he couldn't support his family. He couldn't support himself. His wife moved on. And they did become wealthy after he was dead. I don't know, it just seems to me like that's not much of a legacy.
I'll make it simple, too. Forget the check. Get an admission that they stole it. And give me the right to manufacture my wipers. And this will all be over.
Fantastic choice, Bob. Your kids don't have enough to eat. They got to get clothing from the thrift shop. They all got jobs, part-time jobs and stuff, and the wife has to have 2 jobs. And you're turning down $400 grand. Your family really appreciated that at the time.
Nice choice.
Thanks for watching. Let me know any other topics you want me to discuss. This YouTube channel is to help you. This is for information. I want to hear from you and I want to know what things are on your mind.